We're judging the world and saying what sucks. We're reviews versus the world.
Oh my.
Alright, yeah, well, welcome to this month's podcast. We're doing it a little bit early, and that's because we wanted to get this out in time for, I don't know, some movie that's coming out this week.
Pop Art 2?
Close.
Yes.
Very close. Superheroes, Pop Art could be considered by some to be a superhero.
They'd be wrong.
Yes, they would be.
But they can
the point
consider.
stands.
He's a hero for those who are weight challenged.
Actually, I would say weight gifted.
There you go.
Alright, so I thought I'd give us a little bit of time for all of us to just go around the table and talk about ourselves and what we've been into that's a little bit geeky this month. And we're going to start off with our Boy Scout lost in time who has a hard time asking girls on dates, Steven.
So,
Oh gosh.
I've been a bit behind on this particular television show. I'm going to name off a couple of items that are featured very prominently in a single season of this show. And I'm going to see if our listeners can guess what show I'm talking about by the end of the list.
If one of us guesses it, can we say it or do we have to wait?
You have to wait.
I'll raise my hand.
Okay. And people in podcast land will notice when Emily raises her hand.
It's true. It happens.
So, single season of a television show features superheroes, vampires, massive explosive Dragon Ball Z style fight sequences, a 5-part a cappella harmony musical number, and a special appearance by guest star Weird Al.
Wow, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego went weird?
Now you know that out there in podcast land, somebody is sitting there and saying, well, you fool, you made it too obvious. You are, of course, referring to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 4. And you would be right. I am behind on this show. They are in the middle of their 5th season at the moment. But I just got my Season 4 DVD from Amazon, and it is spectacular. Seriously, Dragon Ball Z style fighting with ponies. Never seen that before. It was amazing. Also, Weird Al has a guest spot as a party planning pony named Cheese Sandwich.
Oh, nice.
And they give him a musical number with the accordion, which is like the best use of your Weird Al possible. I've seen other cartoons that don't do that, and they have Weird Al on them. It's ridiculous. I'm looking at you, Adventure Time.
Wait, was he on Adventure Time?
He was on Adventure Time. He was the Banana Man. He says "woo" a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Really?
I knew George Takei.
It's a terrible appearance of Weird Al. Terrible.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, My Little Pony knows how to use their Weird Al. And that's about the highest endorsement I can give any single television show.
As a side note, a fairly decent use of Weird Al, Gallivant.
I imagine that.
But I'm pretty sure that I'm one of only like 5 people who actually watch that.
I want to, but I'm procrastinating, and I've been doing that with every show that I'm supposed to watch this season. So I don't have time for television. I cry at night because of it. Netflix?
All right, our next podcaster is a billionaire, genius, playboy, philanthropist. Except for the billionaire, playboy, and philanthropist parts. Yes, I'm still calling you a genius. Well, it's Aldo.
He probably still has Playboys, though, so that's kind of a thing.
No, they're the Japanese ones. Oh! Called Happy Super Sugoi Time. Sugoi means cool in Japan. It's what the hip Japanese kids say. Sugoi. Anyways, I'm done. What have I been into? I've been catching up on my comics. So I've been reading Spider-Verse, Batman, catching up on some completed series like The Wake, which is a really cool story by Scott Snyder. I did a review versus Friday on The Wake. So
that's amazing, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. The guy that drew that also drew a series, made a whole series called Punk Rock Jesus, about them cloning Jesus in the future. And him being a teenager and kind of what it would be like for him to grow up now. But it's kind of messed up because it's a nature versus nurture thing. Anyways, but it's really, really interesting. Also, just kind of rewatching Dragon Ball Z because of the Kai series and because they're almost done with it, which is them taking the whole series and cutting out all the filler. So it's going from like 300 and something episodes down to like 130.
That sounds...
Which is how much crap they put in it to extend it.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
That's a lot of commercials for trading cards.
But apart from that, just kind of playing video games. I got Grand Theft Auto 5, so I've been playing that on the PC. And, oh my gosh, I forgot what a great game that was. And that is, I am done.
Very nice. So our next podcaster is the only one smart enough to see the flash drive behind the Hubba Bubba. It's Emily.
Oh, that made me giggle. Woo! Okay. I'll be honest, I haven't really been doing anything especially nerdy. I've been trying to teach myself Welsh again.
That's pretty nerdy.
Yeah, that's nerdy.
I really like Welsh. I was really into learning it for like 3 months, and then I got a new job, and I stopped doing it for 4 months, and now I'm trying to get back into it. It's not going very well. My attention span's kind of shot.
I can't tell you how much I wish I knew Welsh, because every time I go through a drive-through, that person is always speaking Welsh.
Every day.
I'm sorry, everybody. I apologize.
I don't get it.
And
I'll explain it to you later.
Thank you.
I got sucked into Gilmore Girls because of Steven.
Oh! She's a girl, target audience. Target audience.
It must be. It's weird because the more I watch it, the more I see, like, parts of my life flashing before my eyes, and it's like I can't look away.
Since we're on the internet, I think there's only one sound that's appropriate for this.
That's about the extent of my nerdiness. It's short. Love you all.
Are you dying?
You know what, Aldo? It's not important right now, okay?
Oh, God.
Can I have your stereo?
Oh, that's karma, baby.
Oh, like Kimmy Schmidt. What channel is it on? I'm sorry, I'm trying to be really sensitive here. What channel is it on?
Man, I love that show.
Right, Joe.
Which you should check out my review. It's pretty awesome. All right. And our next podcaster, you wouldn't like to see him when he's angry, but then again, you might not really like him when he's not either. It's Nate.
It's true.
We had this conversation outside of the house.
I'm most likable when I'm asleep. I love that joke when they're like talking about Angley's Hulk and they're like, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." It's great. Anyway, what I've been in, well, my geeky thing is, so I really like The Flash on the CW, and right after it is the TV show version of iZombie, which is a great TV show. And it's based on a comic book that actually
was canceled pretty early in its life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great comic book.
It really is. I actually speaking of it, I have like the first 3 issues in my car for some reason.
Do ya?
I do.
For some reason.
I love the comic book, but the TV show has taken a lot of creative liberties. I mean, even the characters kind of have different names. But basically, the premise is there's a girl who's studying to become a heart surgeon. She's brilliant. She's really smart. And then she goes to this party and she gets scratched. And people are taking this street drug that turns them into zombies. But it's not like this big zombie apocalypse like The Walking Dead or anything. It's like kind of today's world, you know. And she doesn't turn into like a mindless zombie, but she craves brains. She still needs to eat brains. So she doesn't want to kill to get the brains, so she gets a job working in the morgue in the police department.
Cool.
And so what she does is they'll have murder victims that come in, and she'll eat their brains. But when she eats their brains, she can, every once in a while, have short visions about things that they had seen right up before they died.
Oh,
and she also takes on personality traits of that person. So, like, if the person is a kleptomaniac, then she gets like urges to like take stuff like for no reason. And you know, there's one where she's an artist and she gets like, you know, the murder victim was an artist, and so she gets like really passionate and she starts like painting and you know, but the brains eventually work their way out of her system. But while she's having these visions and these personality traits, she works with a police detective who is actually he thinks that she's a psychic. He doesn't know she's a zombie. And stuff. So she works with the police department, helping them solve these murders by eating their brains. It's really cool. And then there's also
so it's a cop procedural with zombies.
Exactly.
Here's the thing that surprises me the most about iZombie. was the fact that they were able to get iZombie off the ground, but Chew has been in production hell for like the last 5 years.
Right.
And it is the same setup, essentially.
Well,
Right.
no, the difference is the one eating the brains in iZombie is actually dead, whereas the person eating the gross stuff in Chew is not dead.
Well, in iZombie, she's... I don't know. I wouldn't say she's like, well... Technically, she's dead, but her partner in the morgue knows she's a zombie, and he thinks that there's actually a cure that he can help. So he's working with her, trying to help her find out, like trying to look for a cure. But at the same time, there's another zombie who's going around and like kidnapping homeless people or like street kids in foster homes that kind of like run out, and he's like basically getting their brains, but he's like other people that are infected. Are like he'll go and he'll infect really rich people and then like he tries to get money from them. He says, "I'll provide you with brains. I'll get you the brains, but you have to pay me this absurd amount of money," and they do it.
Do they still have the Were Terrier?
No,
Oh,
at least not yet.
Spoilers.
tragic.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a comic book thing.
You're a comic book.
But I mean,
It's funny because it's true.
but, well, you know what I mean, and it's weird though. I mean, but like if you're a really big fan of the comic book, some of the names are changed. You know, in the comic book when she eats,
Heresy!
right?
That's one of the names.
What is the CW? Like,
Oh, excellent point.
in 16 years, there's going to be a bunch of girls with like the name Liv, like all over the place. But anyway, but anyway, like some of the names are different, and like in the comic book, like when she eats brains, like she takes on those personality traits, but then like she loses part of herself. Whereas in the TV show, like the brains kind of work their way out of her system,
She's still herself.
and she's still herself.
Gotcha.
And then like she at the beginning of the pilot episode, she has a fiance. But after she becomes a zombie, she finds out like when she's like, when she's in the throes of passion, like she gets an overwhelming desire to eat him. So she's like, I can't marry this guy. I can't be with this guy because if we get physical at all, even just kissing, she's. She kind of goes into I want to eat his brains mode, and she gets violent, and it kind of takes over like her mind. So there's kind of like this love drama that's going on because it's like she's in love with him and he's in love with her, but she can't be with him, and
So does that mean we can segue into an episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit? So I can.
Yes,
just
exactly.
saying.
This
Right.
this makes me a little sad because it seems they took out a lot of the supernatural elements, which is the stuff I love. Because there was the werewolf who was her friend, but he wasn't a wolf, he was a terrier, so he would turn into a giant man-sized terrier werewolf thing.
Right.
And her best friend was a ghost that lived in her apartment, but she was a ghost from the 60s, so she still had all these 60s mannerisms and expressions.
Right. Yeah.
And it was some of the funniest things, I thought, but then again, it got cancelled, so maybe I just don't have the best taste.
All right.
But so anyway,
That's great, though.
let's move on.
Okay, and then finally, I am the only one worthy to wield the hammer and sickle. I'm Brady.
That was a communism joke.
Red Sun!
How's Lucille Ball doing, you jerk?
Would you say you're putting on the
That
Ritz?
right, Stephen?
Putting, because Russia. I'm done. I'm done.
All right. So this month I've had actually a few things that I've absolutely loved. Recently I got a 3DS, which I've been loving, and
Talking about incessantly, yes, we
yeah.
know.
And a few days ago, Steven actually lent me a game.
Oh, I did! That's right!
And it's Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, and oh my gosh.
It's awesome.
I am in love with this game. Because, basically, just to give you a little bit of background, it's more or less the same map as A Link to the Past, which is one of my all-time favorite games to begin with. But just all of the mechanics that they add into it, how it's wide open. You can go to any dungeon in any order, and you can go and you can rent these items instead of having to find them in the dungeons to be able to get to other places. And I actually really like that format. It's a lot of fun.
I bought a DS solely because I wanted to play a Zelda game, and I didn't own any current gen Nintendo systems. And this was the first Zelda game that I bought for my 2DS because I am nothing if not resistant to the most advanced technology that is available.
As he handles his bright pink iPad.
I found myself actually really disappointed with Link Between Worlds.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean, it's a weak Zelda game, which is still, better than just about any other sorts of games that are out there. It's got great dungeon designs, fun gameplay. The mechanic where you can actually turn into a graffiti painting and walk along the walls does add a lot of depth to the game, to the exploration mechanic. Because it was a pun. It was a pun. So yeah, I mean, even though I'm disappointed in it, and I would have to say it's probably my least favorite Zelda game I have ever played, and that's including Zelda 2.
Wow.
I still recommend it.
Yeah, and see, maybe it's just because I love Link to the Past so much.
And and I have no attachment to Link to the Past.
Same
Other than the soundtrack.
That I have been just addicted to it, and I've been loving it. Another game that I've been playing is Animal Crossing New Leaf, which the less said about that, the better, but I love Animal Crossing.
Crossing. Who plays Harvest Moon? Me? Just me?
I actually played Harvest Moon last night. The PS1 Harvest Moon.
Oh,
Wow. Are you going after Karen or who?
I always go after Karen and I never get her because
Why?
I'm bad at
Dude,
these games.
Booze.
I'm bad at
That's
dating.
it. Just give her lots of wine. I
well,
promise. You'll remember.
that's sending a message to the kids.
Anyway.
For some reason, I always end up dating the dog, and I don't get that.
That's because you're doing it wrong.
All right, and then another game that I've been playing a lot of recently that is a lot of fun with more than one person, and I don't understand how you could possibly play it with only yourself. And that is a game called Affordable Space Adventures.
Yeah, we played this the other day.
Steven and I played this together the other day, and basically it's you have 2 or 3 people all working together to pilot a little crappy spaceship through this alien world, and it's actually really cool. It's for the Wii U. And so you have one person who their entire job is to kind of monitor all the different systems and also see what these different robotic creatures can scan for, so that all right, well, I guess I have to turn off this part of the engine. Can you get through it that way? Well, maybe we can find some sort of physics-based way to get over that hump, and it's a lot of fun.
I got to honk the horn.
And that was fun.
That was my role in this spaceship.
That's like why my son likes to sit in the front seat in the car. Dad, let me honk the horn!
Oh, he'd been disappointed in my car. The horn hasn't worked in 2 years.
Well, you can't buy those cheap novelty mariachi band horns, Aldo.
I just turned up my radio.
And my last thing this month is I finally read Ready Player One.
I finished reading that as well.
Yeah, and it was very disappointing. It's basically it's a book that you would think would be exactly catered to my taste, where it's all obsessed with 1980s pop culture, video games, movies, and it's in a virtual reality world where they're trying to solve a mystery of where this Easter egg is hidden to win a fortune and blah blah blah. But the writing is lazy, and it gets away with being lazy because it really panders to pop culture references. It's just a long string of pop culture references, but not in a clever way like Gilmore Girls.
You know what? I don't want to like this on Link Between Worlds, but if you replace pop culture references with nostalgia, you pretty much described my opinion of Link Between Worlds. But, so let me ask you a question. Do you think you were disappointed, apart from the lazy writing, do you think you were more disappointed in it because of, like, the hype and because it's going to become a movie? Do you think you would have liked it more if it hadn't been for that built-up expectations?
Well, I don't know, because I've been meaning to read it, before it was popular, before it was announced that Spielberg would be making the movie, and because I was told, this is probably something that's really up my alley, and so I think that I was able to be pretty objective with that, but it's...
Well, it's funny, when I recorded my Indiana Jones video, I just barely started reading the book. I think I was like 4 chapters into it, maybe. And I told Brad, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like, I like this. I mean, it sets up really. It's got a really great idea and premise. my problem with it is it seems like all of the pop culture references stop at 1989 or 1990.
And it's like Ernest Cline doesn't know anything past then.
Right. Well, and on top of that, because it's set in, in 2044.
Yeah, something like that.
2044, something like that. So, it's like there's been 50 years, 60 years of more pop culture that's happened, and especially in advancements in video games and movies and television.
Let's remember this criticism when we get to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but also, I don't know, my one thing I'm wondering with the film is how are they going to get the rights to all of the pop culture?
Exactly. It references everything that it can possibly reference from the 1980s.
Right.
It's basically all the ideas that they could think of for the Goldbergs thrown into one book.
Story. Well, but I think if any filmmaker could do it, it would be Spielberg. And I think Spielberg's probably the only person that could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe Christopher Nolan. But.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get into the topic at hand, and let's initiate Phase 2.
Spaceship noises initiating.
And by that, of course, I mean that we're actually going to be talking today about Marvel's Phase 2. But before we get into the official Phase 2 films, there is an honorable mention that I think it's good for us to bring up. And that's because it is based on Marvel properties, even though it is not officially considered part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's Big Hero 6.
Or the Marvel Universe at all.
Also known as Big Hero 6, if you only speak Aldo.
Eldo. No, I'm sorry.
All right.
Although I can't even see her name.
Big Heroes, I see it. I hear it.
So, now, just a warning, this entire podcast is going to be filled with spoilers, so we're not going to hold anything back. We're just going to go right at it. These are the biggest movies that have come out in the last 3 years.
And everybody dies.
So if you haven't seen them by now, it's kind of your fault. Sorry.
And Rosebud is Luke Skywalker's father, and he sees dead people.
All right, so Big Hero 6. So what do you guys feel about Big Hero 6? What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you think really worked for it?
It just made me incandescently happy. I love Disney movies.
Incandescently
really
happy. Were you like sparkling?
I was.
She has a thesaurus open. What would it makes me feel good?
No, I went to college. I got to learn. I got a degree in musical theater. I cry about it every day.
That's almost like an English degree.
Hey!
It's okay. We'll suffer together. It's fine.
So Big Hero 6 was a good movie.
It had fantastically rich and diverse characters who relied on nothing more than their own wits and intelligence to overcome problems.
So my biggest thing with Big Hero 6 is this film has so much heart to it.
Right.
And of course, at the center of that heart, you have Baymax.
Oh my gosh!
So-
I love
Which, if your
it.
heart stops, he can resuscitate it.
So I loved Frozen, but I hated Olaf.
Why?
And then you've got a character, that's another podcast.
And the horse.
Marketing!
I'm wondering actually more the first one about loving Frozen.
Well, that's another podcast too. We'll do 2 Frozen podcasts.
Yes.
Please no.
So there you go. So now you've got a character, Baymax, who is in a lot of ways Olaf all over again. He's just kind of this ever optimistic, cheerful, friendly face that just wants to give you hugs all the time. And for some reason, Olaf works. No, that's a lie. It's the other way around. Baymax works. That dodged the bullet there. Baymax works in a way that Olaf never did. And I think it's because of how integral Baymax is to the plot. Because one of the major themes of Big Hero 6, or one of the major conflicts, is Hero getting over the death of his brother. Baymax helps him through that.
That's pretty much all of Baymax's goal through the whole movie.
Well, pretty much it's stated. It's his stated goal. Will killing the supervillain make your emotional state better? That's like the whole, his purpose is to make Hero feel better. And so him being involved in this catharsis for Hero just really endears me to Baymax in a way. Or endears Baymax to me in a way that Olaf never succeeded with.
Right.
And here's the thing, and I know you mentioned this forever ago, was that you could essentially remove Olaf entirely from Frozen, and you would still have the same movie. With the exception of, a scene towards the end. you would have the same movie. Whereas you cannot remove Baymax from Big Hero 6.
If you guys could only see Emily's sad face right now.
Well, the fact that
y'all don't get Olaf, man.
I don't need. I just.
You just.
I think I just don't get Josh Gad in general.
You know,
So that's just me.
I think Josh Gad is wonderful. I think Olaf is wonderful, and he makes my heart feel all warm and fuzzy. And nobody should take that away from me, Steven.
And that warm.
Hey! Let's just celebrate our mutual love of Baymax, and we'll save the fighting until after the podcast is over.
Flagpole, 7:30.
I do have to say one of my other favorite things about Big Hero 6 is really fast is the fact that like it's never brought into question of like is Baymax people? Does he have a soul? Is he like a functioning member of society? It's never brought up because he's just so darn well written and adorable and lovable. You don't care the fact that he's a robot. You love him regardless anyway.
I want to hug him, and I hate touching.
But he's like so like not so. What
He's full of zingers. My conclusion: puberty.
That's your answer to everything. Sorry.
And just like his unrelenting like just this need to help Hero out, even though he's not doing it because of any personal gain. He's doing it because that's his programming. But you don't care.
I do have one complaint with Big Hero 6, and only one that I think is really noteworthy enough to bring up in this forum. Big Hero 6 does such a great job of having a diverse cast. I mean, you've got a Japanese-American lead, you've got the all the different minorities that make up the superhero team. Why is the cowardly person a black man? That is such a stereotype, and it's a disappointing stereotype when every other character in the movie breaks so many of the
Why
stereotypes.
is it a lion? That's what I want to know.
You know, I thought about that too, and I actually didn't see it as like a black stereotype. I actually saw it as not antithesis, as the opposite because he's the biggest guy. He's
like the biggest, toughest guy, but then he's...
So I saw him like a cowardly lion, and I think it's almost appropriate because he has like a mane of hair.
But the cowardly black man, it's quite a stereotype. You see it in a lot of movies.
But I mean,
and it doesn't break the movie. I don't think Wasabi's a bad character necessarily. It's just a little disappointing in a movie where they have so much rich diversity. Again, so many broken stereotypes. Like, just completely averted the nerdy, introverted Japanese guy who only plays the violin. Like, Hero's nothing like that. He's a great character. And you've got Tamago, isn't that her name?
Gogo Tamago.
Gogo Tamago. She's not my favorite character, but again...
She is my favorite.
Great character. I'm a Honey Lemon guy.
I think she's meant to be Hispanic.
I think Honey Lemon is meant to be Hispanic, which she's blonde. I'm not quite sure how
Well, there's blonde Hispanics.
It's not natural, but...
It's usually more platinum than it is blonde.
Anyway, at any rate, I found the character of Wasabi to be a little disappointing. It's my only real complaint in what is otherwise one of my favorite movies of last year. It was so good.
You know, my only complaint is it does seem like the setup to getting the team, it takes a long time. It seems like it's at least half of the movie in that setup. But the other thing that I have to counterpoint that is I wouldn't remove any of that setup. It's all so important.
Right.
But it just feels like I wish that there was more of that team dynamic in more of the movie instead of just Baymax and Hero. But I love just Baymax and Hero. So once again, I'm not sure.
They'll have more of the team dynamic in Big Hero 7.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be Big Hero 12.
Yeah. What?
Big Hero 6 to 12.
Math, algebra.
I mathed for once.
I thought you were going to, like, land before time.
I knew my high school math teacher was right. We did use it in real life.
Wrongly.
Or it's like in real life, like, 1 + 1 = 3, because you have a mom and a dad, and then
Wait, is that how that works?
Well,
So
let's take this math here. Let's take the 6 from Big Hero 6. We're going to divide it by 2, which gives us 3 for Iron Man 3.
that is the weirdest segue I have ever heard.
I didn't get to talk about Big Hero 6.
Oh.
Okay, fine. 5 seconds for Big Hero 6 from Nate.
Big Hero 6 was awesome. Song of the Sea should have won Best Picture. Done.
All right.
Do you hear that? That is the mic dropping.
I agree with that whole thing.
I'm out.
Okay,
Don't forget
so
your
moving
partners.
on to Iron Man 3. Now, Iron Man 3, the thing that I wanted to start talking about just right off the bat is probably the biggest divisive point, and that's Trevor.
Oh my god. So I remember when this happened, we're gonna spoil this, right? We just
Yeah.
Yeah, we
okay.
laid
So
that
the
out.
big villain of Iron Man 3 is the Mandarin. Except it's not the Mandarin, because the Mandarin is actually some like software developer who made a computer virus that turns you into a fireman because comic books. And I still can't quite explain what Extremis is all about. Anyway,
I don't think even they do.
so Ben Kingsley's character, who is not actually the Mandarin, is some washed-up British actor who is completely ridiculous.
It's so good.
And they still hired him to play the same thing.
Oh man, Ben Kingsley is great, but boy, does he slum it a lot. I just remember when this came out, I heard people complaining that the reveal that the Mandarin, Ben Kingsley's character, was not actually the Mandarin. They're like, well, what about all those Mandarin fans who went to the movie theater to see the Mandarin on the big screen? What Mandarin fans?
All 12 of them.
Iron Man didn't have fans until the movie came out. Mandarin did not have fans. Don't give me that.
I refuse to believe that Iron Man still still has fans. I don't believe anybody's actually a real fan.
RDJ has some real
Here's
Robert Downey Jr. has fans. If you
Here's
read
the
the
thing.
comics, Iron Man in the comics is nothing like Robert
No,
Downey
not
Jr.
at
Here's
all.
the thing. That's why I refuse to believe Iron Man actually has any fans. I do believe that Robert Downey Jr., as Tony Stark, as Iron Man, has fans.
And rightfully so.
I'm a fan.
And Emily's a fan.
She's a fan of
Anyways, but I think
I'm a fan of
one,
anyway.
one of my favorite things
Well,
about
great.
this one, though, is it actually felt like it paid off to have watched all the Avengers stuff. It really felt like it was your payoff because you had finally gotten to see the kind of culmination of all these events and the toll that it took on
The
Tony Stark.
PTSD I thought was absolutely awesome.
Yes.
This is a movie. I mean, I believe you could watch it, just standalone, but it is so much more rewarding to have seen at least the previous Iron Man movies and Avengers because it added just kind of like a whole. It was a payoff for having watched that. This was your reward. Post traumatic disorder. That's your reward.
As if watching
Traumatic
Iron
stress.
Man and the Avengers
Was it in its own
was
reward?
and Iron Man 2 can be debated.
We could probably skip Iron Man 2 and still enjoy Iron Man 3. What happened to Iron Man 2? I don't know what you're talking about. It's like those Star Wars prequels you keep mentioning. It doesn't really exist. It's just some quirk of the numbers.
Hey, Iron Man 2 has Mickey Rourke's bird, and that's
Yes.
all I care about.
Oh, yeah,
is
that's
my
all
bird?
Mickey Rourke cares about, too. That movie sucked, guys. Anyway,
Well, you put Gwyneth Paltrow in a movie, and there's going to be something lacking. Sorry.
Really?
Don't love you, Gwyneth. I mean, I love you, but I just don't.
No, you said
She's not
no.
really that
No.
good at things.
She's not that good at things. That is the most generic statement about an actor that I have ever heard. They're not good at things.
I have to say, this is further extended by the fact that Emily is just sitting here casually folding a napkin into a triangle.
I like
She's not
folding
very
things.
good at things. As she expertly folds a napkin.
I'm pretty sure that she's folding it into a hatchet for Gwyneth Paltrow.
She's good at looking hot, Emily.
That's all we
She
need
has
sometimes.
no boobs.
So you don't need boobs.
I know you don't need boobs, but I'm saying she has none.
We went over the boob comparison last podcast.
I'm a female. It happens. I'm sorry.
There's plenty of males with them too,
She's
alright?
good looking in the face. She's just not good at things.
Can I say how awesome it kind of was that she got to have the last punch?
I really
Yeah.
wanted to see more of Gwyneth Paltrow in the Iron Man armor because that would have been rad. It was okay. What we did get was okay.
I would love to in the future, even if it's after Phase 3, to get Rescue in the movies. I would love that.
Indeed. Rescue is Gwyneth Paltrow's character, Pepper Potts, in the Iron Man armor in the comic books. And
Which-
it would be great to see that in the movies.
I was super happy they did not call it Iron Maiden.
Yeah, Iron Maiden would have been problematic.
That would have been a terrible.
I think we have to say one more thing
Maiden.
about
Excellent.
Iron Man 3, at least before we move on, though.
And I think I might know where you're going,
Okay.
and it's Tony and the little boy.
What the heck? How was this good? This should not have been good.
But it was amazing!
But it was! This kid should have been grating, he should have been obnoxious, he should have had his baseball cap on backwards and listened to them boy bands.
But no! But the greatest line in the movie is, Dad's late, don't be a pussy about it. I'm done. Instead of following the same lines that you get in so many movies out there of, okay, I'm trying to relate to you because I also had daddy issues. But no, it was just, get over it.
Toughen up. Become a billionaire for Playboy philanthropist.
I loved that.
I do have to say that is actually one of my favorite things about that is the whole interactions with him. Probably because I don't like the little kid as much as Tony Stark kind of doesn't like the little kid, but turns out he does.
So I will say this also about Iron Man 3. If it wasn't for Cap 2 and Guardians being as good as they are and as much as I love them, Iron Man 3 would have been my favorite Phase 2 movie, and it's actually my favorite over any of the Phase 1 movies except for Avengers.
Emily, counterpoint.
I don't really have that much of a counterpoint. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it was not my favorite of the Iron Man movies.
Is it because Gwyneth Paltrow?
No, it wasn't because of Gwyneth Paltrow, surprisingly. It just didn't do it.
It was
for me.
because of things, guys.
Things that were not done good.
I just remember leaving the theater with my then boyfriend, who's now my fiance. We were both just like, "Did you like that?" Yeah.
I think I liked it because everybody liked it.
No, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Maybe that's what it was.
Well, and I think in full honesty, the plot is pretty problematic. It doesn't. It does not hold up under close scrutiny at all.
Right.
Why didn't Tony Stark call for a house party when his house was getting shot at by missiles? Why didn't that happen? I don't know.
Because movie runtime.
Because movie runtime.
So that brings me to another point that I actually want to bring up, and that's we see for the first time real problems from not having a secret identity, and that's because people know who you are and they're going to come after you.
That's valid.
I also have to say that one of the things that they're really kind of fixing for, that I was worried about after the Avengers was how are you going to make a solo movie after we've seen them being a team? And it's the fact that all these things happen to them so fast that they don't have time to really
Process
react.
it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
It's
how.
not lovely. Give Thor a call.
Right, exactly. He's one day he's making a call, he's, calling out the Mandarin. The next thing, within hours, he's getting his house attacked. He does not have time to, be like, hey, Cap, can you come down here and smash a couple guys with your shield?
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll mention is Tony out of the armor when he goes and attacks that compound was awesome. I loved that entire scene because it shows that really he's not just the suit. And, that's something that comes up in the first Avengers is, what are you without the suit? And that's where the...
Billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Yeah.
Although that's one of the greatest movie comebacks, I think.
But here we get to see that really he is a genius and he can put these things together and he can actually do things and rock it out. I love
That's
it.
one thing I've always loved about Marvel comic books over DC is the fact that it is more about the person underneath the suit. Whereas, DC is kind of more like, oh, here's North America's 20th and 21st century version of the Greek gods or whatever. Whereas Marvel is kind of like these, with the exception of a few.
Marvel and DC, you could easily describe them with two words. DC is icons and Marvel is legends. Where you have people that are doing legendary things, where DC you have icons, you have these larger than life figures, and that's kind of one of the big differences. Like you, I absolutely love that about Marvel because you don't have a Superman character. Well, you do have a couple Superman characters, but you don't have a Superman part of the team, with the exception of Thor. But even Thor has his fair share of problems.
Well, that brings me to a point. You mentioned 20th, 21st century versions of Greek gods. How about Norse gods? Right. Segue. Thor segue.
I gave you
Every movie.
I gave you a good segue, and you replaced it with your own.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Thor: Dark World, and I will start off by saying it's been my least favorite of the Phase 2 films.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I don't think it's a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie. It's bad for a Marvel movie, but I wouldn't consider it a bad movie.
I actually think it's better than the Iron Man 3.
Do ya?
I do.
I think it is the worst movie that Marvel Comics has put out. It is worse than all of the Phase 1 movies. It is worse than Spider-Man movies.
Are you including the Amazing Spider-Man 2? If so, get out of my house right now.
I really did not like Thor: The Dark World at all.
But it had a streaking Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, you say that like that's a good thing.
You know, I have to say though that the sequence that saved the movie for me that I wouldn't say I like. Okay, so I wouldn't say I actually like it more than Iron Man 3. I said I would like them equally. But Thor had that really great part where like you kind of see Thor actually kind of deal with stuff, and when he's not like able to be super godly, when they do the prison breakout and then they have to go do the deal, and you see just kind of all these things, and you see this relationship that he has with Loki in a scope that we really hadn't got a chance to see, and that's kind of what saved it for me, because I do like the Thor-Loki relationship.
Well, and actually, that's another thing that I really liked, was not only the Thor-Loki relationship, but suddenly the mother had depth in this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought that was great.
Wait, did you say depth or death?
Yeah. But I thought that, I'm not even sure what actress plays her, but I thought that she did a great job in this movie.
I have to say, it has had my favorite line probably out of all of the Marvel movies, which is when he says, "I wish I could trust you, brother," and he's like, "Then trust my rage," and that's like Loki's thing because his mom died, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I thought Loki was a lot of fun in Thor too. Yeah. And I really liked it.
I think
Loki
that Tom Hiddleston
is good at
Chris
stuff.
Hemsworth they're both really dreamy, so that kind of did it for
What
me.
did you guys think of the Cap cameo?
I thought it made me laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It made me laugh.
Yeah.
It was alright.
So, what did you guys think of Christopher Eccleston as Malekith?
Awful. Absolutely awful. Here's the Chris Eccleston.
He's a good actor.
He's a great actor
who does bad things.
Wait, is
this
he
and G.I. Joe, shame on you.
I have never seen Chris Eccleston in anything where he was up using his full potential, except Doctor Who, and he hated doing that.
I didn't like Doctor Who.
He was good. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I think he does a brilliant performance job.
I actually blame him for me not liking Doctor Who, because I watched that season and I finished it and I was like, well, I feel like I wasted a season.
You need to do the Tennant and.
Well.
Except the point of the first season should be to hook me for the rest of the seasons, and it did not do that job.
Malekith.
Anyway, that'll be a topic for another time. I
Yeah.
think that we will need to actually do a Doctor Who podcast at some point.
What?
So I would
Nerds
love
talking
to.
about Doctor Who?
I know, seriously.
Unheard of.
How is
Never.
that so not stereotypical?
Anyway,
But anyway, Chris Eccleston, Malekith. This is a story that was inspired by one of the greatest runs of any superhero comic ever, and it was dull. I mean, Chris Hemsworth only took his shirt off once. What am I paying money to see?
it's valid. He's right.
I was not captivated by the Thor-Loki relationship. I thought it hit most of the same story beats that they hit in the first movie, and most of the same story beats that were covered in the Avengers, which they didn't go into as much depth with the characters, but it was more exciting to watch. Mm-hmm. Thor 2 bored me until the ending, when I thought of any finale, it was basically Scooby-Doo. They go through one-dimensional portal, they pop out the other, and then they port through these different places, and Yakety Sax is playing in the background.
I don't forget the lady who got probably the luckiest role from a not high-paying star, when he's in the subway, and it stops, and this lady that's standing next to him falls on him, and it's just this little awkward interaction, and it was kind of the best.
I have no idea what you're talking
It's
about.
fine.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm still confused. When in Scooby-Doo did they go through portals?
Oh, It's like the Scooby-Doo thing, you know, when they're like, you've got the shot that's down the hallway, and there are like
And they're running
6 doors on
through
each
doors.
side,
Right,
and they run through the doors, and they pop out.
And then there's the
That's
part,
what the finale was, except it's some sort of metaphysical BS.
and the part in Scooby-Doo where the giant Asgardian dog-like creature chases them through the house. That was also amazing.
So,
They tear off Olden's face and it's Loki. They're like, we knew it!
It was old guy Loki the whole time.
The owner of the
it's
amusement
an
park.
apt comparison.
so, can I say, I do not get why people like Natalie Portman.
I don't either.
I can't
feelings about
stand
it.
her. She's...
There's
I think that she is a bad actress, and she's praised. I don't get it. I don't get it. Jane Foster is one of the most boring, awful, obnoxious characters.
To be fair, Jane Foster's not that much better in the comics.
yeah.
But Emily's trying to make a point here, it looks like.
I'm biting my nails.
Is
The thing about Natalie Portman is there are some movies, more of her serious roles, where she's really good.
Yeah,
At
it's
that.
true.
It's true.
true.
Other
She's a good
movies,
actress.
Like
Star Wars?
Please don't say
Home is
that.
where the heart is.
Okay.
Okay, I do not recommend that anybody watch Black Swan.
No, but it's really
Natalie
good.
Portman does kill it in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have to say though, I have to agree with well, not the whole Natalie Portman thing because I like Natalie
Yeah,
Portman.
there's
okay.
some things she's really good,
Yeah.
and other things it's
Yeah.
like
The
get
thing
off
is-
the screen.
The thing is, the Thor movies at no point in time gave me a reason where I was like, yeah, you should go for Jane Foster instead of, you know, the badass sword wielding armor
Yeah, Sif.
Wearing
Instead of
Oh my gosh.
Sif, yeah.
Sif,
yeah.
not Sif.
Sif,
Sif.
Lady Viking.
I'm just saying.
how to pronounce
It
it.
reminds me of the old Pink Panther movie with Peter Sellers when the girl's like, I went on a wild animal hunt.
Okay, there is a good part. There is a good thing I can say about Thor 2, The Dark World.
Chris O'Dowd.
I was going to say the Warriors 3 and Sif, like the fencing guy,
Yes. Yeah.
Fandral, and Volstagg, and Hogun, and Sif are a delight. And I'm going to throw Idris Elba in there as well, who was completely wasted in the first Thor movie because he just stood there looking ominous. In this, he jumps and stabs a spaceship to death. That was cool. Those characters were fun to watch. It's too bad that they were not the focus of it.
I would love to see a Thor ensemble movie where you would get all of them and more chances for them to shine rather than just a Loki Thor duo movie.
The Loki Thor stuff felt pandering to me, and it wasn't as well thought out as I would have wanted it to be. And Tom Hiddleston didn't strike me as being at the top of his game. And they were both just like sulky the whole time. And I don't watch Thor to be sulky. I watch Thor to see him go into a diner, drink a mug of coffee, shout another, and smash the coffee cup. That was great.
By the way, Brady, get me another beer. I'm just kidding. Cream soda. It's cream soda. It's Shasta cream soda. Thanks, Shasta. We'll be calling for a check later.
So I will say that Thor: The Dark World did have my favorite little cameo side character, and that is because I love Chris O'Dowd, who, if you don't know, he plays Roy on the IT Crowd as the bumbling Irishman trying to,
that guy!
on a date with
I hated him.
on a date with Jane Foster.
I forgot that was a scene in the movie.
Poor Chris O'Dowd. Anyway.
I just want to point out that we have a couple 4-year-olds running around in the background, and they're actually more quiet than the Dungeons and Dragons players from our last podcast. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, we are going to now take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of Phase 2 and what's coming up in this next month.
Aye.
All right, and welcome back.
That's the weirdest introduction ever. Okay.
Welcome back from your 2-second break.
We'll turn in about 5 minutes listening to Brady talk about his wedding.
Assuming we're
Hey,
keeping
my
that in.
wedding was awesome. Our wedding cake was donuts.
It was donuts. I remember.
It was actually made out of donuts, except for the top layer was actually cake. But it looked awesome, and it was awesome, and we had an awesome reception.
Do you know what my
6
groom's?
minutes.
Do you know what my groom's cake was? A curling stone.
That's pretty cool.
I have 2 Utah Winter Game medals for curling. Thank you very much.
Who curls anymore? I don't even curl my hair.
Nobody in America, barely, but
Yeah. All right, so let's get right back into it. Now, before we go back into the movies, I do want to take a small tangent that I know that I'm probably going to be the only one who has anything to say, and that since Phase 1 ended and we got into Phase 2, Marvel has started their TV division, which is linked to the cinematic universe. And with that, there have actually been 3 different shows that I'd like to mention. First one is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, has anybody other than me watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever
Alright, there we go. So here's what I will say for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It starts off and you are immediately disappointed.
Yep.
Don't let that get to you. Alright, seriously.
it's like marriage, Emily.
You get really excited about everything, and then the wedding is the Avengers movie, and then you go home, and then you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And so here's what I will say about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is you have to get to the point in the first season when the events of Captain America 2 happen, which, since we're about to talk about it anyway, let's just get it out of the way. S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
And Hydra comes out of hiding.
Hello, Hydra.
And it is awesome in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. how this is handled. And so I'm actually not going to give away any spoilers since nobody else here has watched it. But seriously, the first season is on Netflix. Go watch it. Trust me, it gets awesome. Plus, season 2 gets into the Inhumans. It starts to introduce Inhumans.
Cool.
And it does it in a really cool way.
Wake me up when Miss Marvel's in it.
Which I'm really bothered by it because I want the Inhumans, but I don't want Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And this is Marvel going, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I was like, yes, I can.
So, the next TV show is Agent Carter, which...
It's a spin-off of a spin-off.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure also means that nobody here has seen it.
I have another solo song that I can sing for you. All by myself. Because you're alone.
I'm a TV guy, so apparently this is all I do is watch TV shows.
And did I mention I was all by myself? All by myself.
So, Agent Carter is actually pretty awesome. And Agent Carter, of course, is Captain America's love interest in the first Avengers movie.
Yes.
I mean, not in the first Avengers, in his first movie.
Yeah.
And she is awesome. And Dominic Cooper plays Howard Stark, and he, again, is awesome. And this story goes... It's just really a lot of fun. It's a period piece, takes place in the 50s. And so you get to see kind of the startup of S.H.I.E.L.D. before it was S.H.I.E.L.D. and it was SSR, I think that's what it was called.
Why are you looking at me like I know?
Because I assume that it's attached to the comics somehow.
Is there a tablet?
Oh, that's right. Guys, I'm just on Facebook. I'm not looking at anything important.
Anyway,
He's playing Trivia Crack or Words with Friends.
Agent Carter is a lot of fun, and actually the standout character that I didn't expect is the original Jarvis, as in the butler to the Stark family, and he absolutely rocks.
The poor man's Alfred Pennyworth.
Well, he's not really that poor.
Okay, the other rich man's Alfred Pennyworth.
And then the third show that has started is by far my favorite of the 3, is Daredevil.
Which I have watched.
I think most of us have
Two
watched.
can be just... How's that go?
2 can be as bad as 1.
Right.
It's the loneliest number since
What
the
about
1.
3? You have a song for 3?
Three's a crowd.
So Aldo, have you...
Company!
No! Three's Company too.
I was like, it's
So Aldo, have you watched the entire first season then?
I've not the only season. No, I've seen the first about 3 episodes.
Okay.
How did you not binge it?
So
I
that-
have school and a full-time job.
Ah, you sucker. I'm just kidding.
So that means that you have not met Fisk yet. You haven't met Kingpin, right?
No, but I do know I love D'Onofrio. So D'Onofrio.
He is
Yes.
absolutely
I love
amazing in this show. By far my favorite part of the show. You'll actually see probably this weekend, if not next weekend, we're going to have our Daredevil review up, and it will be actually John and we were fighting over it, so we're both going to do it. So it'll be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for that.
So I have a confession. For the longest time, I thought Vincent D'Onofrio and Mark Ruffalo were the same person.
It's easy
That would
to
make
think
things
so.
really confusing.
After I saw after I saw Avengers,
I thought it was the
went-
guy from Law and Order Criminal Intent.
Yes.
It's like, isn't that the guy from Law and Order Criminal
Yes.
Intent? I thought he was good.
That was the guy who played Edgar in Men in Black, right? You remember
Yes.
the Edgar suit
Yes.
guy?
Yeah.
The alien was.
but I do have to say though that the one thing that Daredevil right off the bat has gotten so well that like I still don't think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has done is the fact like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. makes a point of being like, hey, look at us, we're part of the Marvel Universe, look at us, love us too because we're part of the thing and we're connected, and Daredevil's like, yeah, sure, I'm part of the family, but look at me beat up some guys.
Right? Like, you know
That's just like my brother.
And I think it does that so well because it establishes that it's part of the universe with like nice little nods where they're like, yeah, the prices in Hell's Kitchen have gone down because of the attack on New York. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. But at no point do you ever like, is Daredevil being like, look at me, I'm part of the universe. Look at me, look at all these references I'm making.
They do make a Captain America and Thor reference, but it's like, oh, maybe you don't have like a super strong shield or a magic hammer, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and there's actually a connection between Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Crusher Creel.
Why do they keep trying to just...
What the?
They keep making me want to...
The Absorbing Man is a character?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it has a new. It shows a boxing because he fought his dad. Matt Murdock's dad was a boxer, and they boxed each other. And you see a poster, like,
And it actually talks a lot about the fight.
yeah.
I believe the actual
It's like
verbiage
that
when you
fight,
box another man is called fighting.
Good
But-
point. Good point.
And in season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they actually have the Absorbing Man played really, really well and in really cool ways.
By Mark Ruffalo.
Hey, don't be hating on Mark Ruffalo.
Hey, Mark Ruffalo is the best Hulk we've gotten so far.
Well,
And
Yes.
I know that sounds like damning with faint praise, but he's really good.
I
don't know.
really
Let's
like
read
it.
now.
Oh, he was good, but Ruffalo's better.
Eric Bana was
good.
great, despite the fact that that movie is a
That
better
movie was
drama than a comic book movie. It's
Well,
a way better drama.
Well,
if you
it
watch
is. It is an Ang Lee movie.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's not a horrible movie. It's just not a comic book movie. It's
it's
about the Hulk.
It's not a terrible movie. It's just not a great movie.
Varied feelings. Anyway,
Speaking of
Eric
comic book
Bana is a more forgettable actor than Guy Pearce's role in Memento.
What?
You know, he forgets those.
I thought you were gonna make a segue. I was like really excited to see what your segue was gonna be.
I don't know, after me,
gotta do
I
that
have a
one
hard
Here's
time.
my segue. Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
I didn't get to talk about Daredevil.
Talk about Daredevil.
You guys go back and forth, and I'm like,
Okay, 5 seconds.
okay, Daredevil's awesome, and the thing I like about it is it's really slow moving, but it develops the characters really well.
Awesome. Okay.
That was really good.
You should do this more often.
All right,
That's what I feel
so
like I have to do for the paper now. I write a review, and he's like, it's too long. I'm like, oh!
Let me take my book back.
Yeah, Brady notes.
so Cap 2. So let's start off by talking about Shield ending.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
I'm actually kind of disappointed. 'Cause I hope they were gonna introduce Sword before they broke apart Shield.
Oh, Sword? What? Oh my gosh. We are really, really, really digging deep now, aren't we?
I like Sword.
Sword is... What does Sword stand for? It's like... Who cares? These acronyms are dumb. It's
They come up with
It
a
sounds like somebody really wanted to make it sound to make it spell sword.
it's Shield in space. That's Sword.
Yeah, but then they have to fight and it helps. I don't know. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, so Captain America 2 was awesome. It's probably my favorite of the Marvel movies to date.
Captain America 2 reminds you that Captain America is actually a superhero and not just a normal dude with a shield.
Yeah, and the shield was cool and all, but...
The elevator scene.
Oh, the elevator.
Not even that. The ship.
Oh, the
Yeah,
ship,
the
yeah.
boat.
Yeah. That was awesome. At the very beginning when he's like kicking guys off, I was like, oh, this is
With
so cool.
the leaper.
Right?
Well, the thing that just like blew my mind was like, okay, so I saw him there. He was a normal dude, and he comes in, and he's doing all these like superhuman things, and like he's like flying through windows, he's breaking down doors, and then it dawns on me, oh my god, this guy can break through like steel doors on a ship, and he's throwing this shield at people. People are dying right now.
Yeah. It is probably the most violent. Or like brutally violent of the movies. Daredevil is on its
Daredevil, yeah.
Daredevil's like they said, it's a hard PG-13. No, Daredevil's pretty close to R-rated with.
I think it's TVM.
Something car door, something brains.
Hardcore,
yeah,
hardcore parkour.
Something bowling ball.
So you mentioned Batroc. We did talk about Winter Soldier a while ago. In our first podcast, actually. But one thing that really struck me about the Winter Soldier, most comic book movies get a lot of flack as they go along because they start introducing more and more characters and don't have enough time to do anything with all of these characters. I counted at one point, and I don't remember the exact number, Captain America the Winter Soldier has like 9 or 10 named characters from the comics, and it does them all justice to some, like, they don't necessarily get a huge time to shine, but they're there, they're done well, you believe them, and you're excited to think that they might turn up again.
right.
Batroc, Crossbones.
Oh, okay.
Zola.
Batroc, Crossbones, Zola, of course you've got Captain America the Falcon, you've got the Scarlet Jo Widow, you've got Robert Redford's character actually is a character from the comics, but he was never that fleshed out. Nick Fury is in it.
Maria Hill actually gets
Maria Hill was in there. Geez, I think it's even.
Oh,
more than that.
and how about the Winter Soldier?
The Winter Soldier is in there.
Bucky Barnes.
You got the Baron, the guy with the what's it called?
Monocle.
Monocle. I almost called it a
Baron.
unibrow. And
What's his name?
Baron Strucker.
Yeah.
Baron Strucker is in it, and Agent 13, the nurse
The
that
nurse.
lives up the hall from Captain America.
Which has a callback. Watch Revenge. I like it.
And the thing is, like, when I figured out who she was, I was super excited because I was like, that's actually one of my favorite, like, relationships that happens in the Marvel universe.
The Steve Rogers, Sharon Carter relationship in the comics. In the comics, she's Peggy Carter's niece, and that gets really awkward really quickly. I don't think they're going to do that in the movies. But anyway, the Captain America Agent 13 romance is good, and it's a little heartbreaking, and it's good. It's well done.
And I think recently they got married, actually.
I don't know what happened, because he turned into a 90-year-old man. Comics are confusing.
Right before that.
Before that.
When he was in Dimension Z.
Oh, I feel sorry for her. Anyway, Captain America 2.
I have a great. Oh wait, go ahead.
Just has a lot of characters. Does them all justice. Having a lot of characters isn't necessarily a death sentence for a comic book movie. That's all I was trying to say.
So I have to say, when I heard that they were going to have Falcon in this movie,
Falcon. I don't think I mentioned Falcon.
I rolled my eyes so heavily because he is such a corny character from everything that I have seen of him before, and here he's awesome.
He's really cool.
He does a great job.
Was it Anthony Mackie?
Anthony Mackie, and I love how he's just military guy who happened to be jogging at the wall in Washington D.C. at the same time as Captain America.
I love it how he keeps passing him. He's like, on your left, he's like, you say that one more time.
This is like another example of like the real world repercussions of like these events that are happening. Because any other situation, I think Anthony Mackie's character would have been like, whoa, secret agents and S.H.I.E.L.D. and Captain America. But the fact that the attack on New York happened, I think he's one of those characters who's like, oh, Captain America, big whoop, he's gonna beat me. Oh, secret spies and agents, cool. I saw aliens attack the whole city, so what's this?
That's a really good point. I mean... I don't think I realized it until just now. One of the things that I find so endearing about Anthony Mackie's character is he obviously has this really deep, profound respect for Captain America, but he's not starstruck.
Yeah.
He's not Agent Coulson.
He connects with him on the level of peers. It's like, you were a soldier, I am a soldier. Yeah. We have this connection because we were both soldiers.
Right.
And it feels very realistic.
And I think like the whole fact that this whole thing is happening, and I think he's just like, I'll just roll with it. Here's a 70-year-old frozen American hero.
Right.
I'll just team up with him. And I'll fly.
Sure, I'm not doing anything else this weekend.
Here's a funny story about Captain America 2. A few months ago, I started dating a girl, and she was like, let's go over to your house and watch a movie, and she'd never seen Captain America 2, and she's like, let's watch Captain America 2. But the film critic and movie buff in me was like, and I could tell she wanted to make out. And she was like, scooting closer and everything, and then but I didn't, because I was like, no, you're gonna miss the best part. Like,
He said Stephen Strange! He said, you get that mouth away from me, Stephen Strange! Do you know?
Nate passed up a makeout session.
Do you realize how important this is for the Marvel
we made up
Universe?
for it later. But she was like, that whole movie, I could not sit still. I was like, well, I know, I have that effect on people. No, but she's like,
If you
she's
could
like,
see
I
him,
cannot believe you sat through a 2.5-hour long comic book movie and didn't want to make out with the girl. I was like, well,
this whole story is just made more hilarious by your current do.
right.
Which you guys can't see Nate right now, but the top of his head is shaved. And then when I say the top, I mean the top, and just the top.
He has like
It's male pattern baldness. It's if you I'm in the play Chitty Chitty Bang Bang right now. If you've ever seen the movie, the grandpa has like male pattern baldness. He's got, I call them walls, but like the side of his head has hair, and then big sideburns that connect to his mustache, but then his chin's shaved.
Those are mutton chops, right?
Yeah, mutton chops, and then a shaved chin in the mutton chops
mustache.
connects the mustache. So I look like a late 1800s, early 1900s Irish immigrant boxer in New York City. It's like,
You want some potatoes?
my name is Clubber Flanagan.
So we haven't heard much from Emily on this movie.
Emily.
Because we're
5
talking about the movie.
seconds.
I liked it. It was my favorite. I think one of my favorites at least. Of
It had good stuff in it.
It did have good stuff in it.
There
It had good things.
people that do stuff good.
They do stuff good. I liked it. I don't have much to say past that other than I liked it. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Real good.
I'm tired.
So let's talk a little bit about Guardians of the Galaxy.
That
Oh,
was good.
man.
This movie was awful. It was the worst movie I've ever... I'm totally kidding. Guardians was great.
I was gonna say walk out.
So here's the thing.
I was captivated by Vin Diesel.
Where Captain America 2 might have been, the better movie for movie's sake.
Yeah.
But Guardians of the Galaxy is the most fun movie that I have seen in years.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite. I have watched that movie, I think, 11 times now.
It's so good.
And it is, and I never get tired of it. I just giggle and smile the entire time. And oh my gosh, I've heard some people say before that Guardians of the Galaxy will be to this next generation like Ghostbusters was to my generation.
Right.
Where it's, that movie that is part of who you are.
Right.
And I can totally see that, because this has a lot in common with that, with just very smart writing, just a lot of fun, great actors, playing great roles that they're all perfectly cast for.
And Lee Pace.
Holy Pace was great.
And
Louis
the pie
Sullivan.
maker in blue makeup.
I like Lee.
I love
He's
Lee
awesome.
Pace. I love Lee Pace, but I think that Ronan the Accuser is the second worst villain that we've had in the Marvel Comics movies.
I would agree.
Like, Malekith
Yeah.
is worse in Thor 2.
He's very
But and
one-note.
it's disappointing, though, because Lee Pace does a good job of imbuing this character with some real menace. The problem is, these are characters like Star-Lord, Groot, Rocket Raccoon. You're not going to menace these people. They don't give a flying crap about how scary your sand is when you get sand thrown on your naked body. Nobody cares in this movie. And it's really disappointing.
But, that's the thing. This movie is not about the villain. It's not about Ronan.
I agree, 100%.
And that's why it's so great. It's because it's around this core team, and just all of them are so different, but they're so perfectly cast. And let's talk about Chris Pratt for a second, because Chris Pratt turned from that guy that I love in Parks and Rec to a superstar
And a babe.
with this movie.
Just like overnight.
He turned into a babe.
I think for me, Chris Pratt was
I'll
like,
get into it later.
was the most surprising part of the whole movie. Because until this movie, I had never heard of him. He had never been on my radar. I had not cared for the name Chris Pratt until this movie. And I still kind of don't. But I think he did a super excellent job in the thing he did.
Well, with Chris Pratt, I mean, he was really funny. He's really funny on Parks and Rec.
He's one of my two favorite characters in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He's saying a lot.
Who's your second favorite?
Well, he can't ever beat Ron Swanson.
Right.
No one can.
Ron Swanson's
That's
awesome.
fair.
But I mean, with Chris Pratt, I mean, with him doing Guardians, when I saw Guardians, I was like, oh my gosh, he's great because like he can be an action star, but he can still be funny and goofy. But like, now that we haven't seen Jurassic World yet. But with the previews and stuff, the way he looks like, when you saw him in those, and now that, Disney's kind of has this whole rumor going around that he might replace Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones when Harrison Ford can't do Indiana Jones, like, I can actually see that.
Bring it on.
I could see that, and it makes sense.
He has that quality that Harrison Ford had, which is you can be an action star and you can still be funny and charming, and that's something Chris Pratt has. He never lost it.
Chris Pratt as Star-Lord is probably the best casting in a Marvel movie since Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, really, he is Star-Lord. And, again, there were no Star-Lord fans at this time last year.
There were
didn't
no
exist.
Guardians of the Galaxy fans.
Well, there were Guardians of the Galaxy fans because
Well,
there was a
yeah.
pretty good run of Guardians of the Galaxy a couple of years ago,
Right.
At Marvel Comics.
That's still going, I think.
Yeah, it probably is still going. Well, it definitely is still going now.
right.
Up until recently, they still had their original uniforms, and because of the movie, they've all kind of switched over to.
Yeah.
And they all now have their own single, ongoing book.
But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy have been made by this movie, and characters that nobody heard of, nobody cared about, couldn't have cared about because, my goodness, a talking tree is ridiculous.
The world's not ready for a talking tree.
All of a sudden, had these huge fan bases because of the performances put behind them. Vin Diesel has so much versatility with the way he says "I am Groot" over and over again. That's not meant to be a joke. It's not funny.
I love Vin Diesel.
I know.
There's something. It's a rumor. It's like a myth, but there's allegedly the Groot script, like that. Who's the director?
Richard Gunn.
James Gunn, right?
James
Gunn.
That he has the script with all of Groot's actual lines that Vin Diesel received. And he's like, these are your lines, now say them like I am Groot. And he went through and every line...
He recorded 1,000 different lines.
Well, he also did it in like 7 different languages.
Yeah, he did the 4 languages.
He's so multi-talented. I can't. I love Vin Diesel.
Emily can't even.
I really can't.
Can you odd?
So
what?
Odd.
No.
I think that one thing that this movie does excellently, that I actually touched a little bit on with Iron Man 3, is this movie will zig when you expect it to zag.
Yes.
In other words, you have situations where all of a sudden you have Star-Lord wanting to do a dance-off.
Right.
as a distraction. And no one expects that. It comes absolutely out of nowhere. Which, of course, it catches Ronan the Accuser off guard as well. And this movie does that so many times. Like, even just when he's talking to Drax, Drax is amazing.
Yeah.
As well. But when he's talking to Drax, the first time that he's really meeting Drax, and he goes, you can find Ronan and slit his throat.
Right.
And does the action, and Drax doesn't get it. I mean, that whole scene is just examples of zigging when you expect a zag. And it's awesome. And that's one thing that I think makes this movie so unusual compared to everything else out there that has come out recently.
Right. And then, they have little jokes on, like, tropes. My favorite scene in the movie is when Star-Lord gives them the pep talk, and they all start standing up, and then Rocket Raccoon's the last one that stands up, and he goes, "There we are, standing in a circle like a bunch of jackasses."
I do have to say that, like, my one, like, biggest critique of this whole movie, I keep moving the table around, is this, to me, felt like the darkest Marvel movie we've seen. I think, and it compares pretty... in level of like how dark it gets, I think it compares really well to Captain America 3. Because
Captain America 2?
2, yes, 2.
Yeah, because we haven't seen the third one yet.
Well, 3 probably gonna be pretty dark
Civil
too.
War. Oh man, that's gonna be great.
That's a no. Anyways,
Well.
but like it's one of the darkest because we have 5 heroes who are technically not heroes. We have murderers, we have thieves, we have bounty hunters, we have just a brute and murderers. This is our group of protagonists. We have a stone that tears people apart from the inside. We have a religious fanatic who's going to wipe out a whole other race because of an old war.
I think more people. I think more people die in Guardians of the Galaxy than in any of the other Avengers movies, except for possibly the Avengers.
There's the
Yeah,
one
that's
scene
about
where I was like, "This is surprisingly dark," and I don't think anybody's seen it as dark as I am. Is when the ship is coming down and the Nova Corps makes that shield.
Oh yeah.
And then all the ships start exploding, and people are like, "Oh, they're breaking through." I'm like, "People are dying here. People are dying."
and there are some darker notes that just kind of hit you out of nowhere, like drunk Rocket talking about
Being genetically modified.
I always forget about that scene, and it's pretty good. I mean, I have this argument sometimes with some people in my family because we always talk about superhero origin stories. I have a sister-in-law who watches superhero movies because she loves her husband, my brother. I don't know that she really has much of a reason to watch it other than that. And sometimes I'll have this argument with her, and she says that superhero movies need to have the origin. But really, Rocket's drunken rant is as much of an origin for him as we need.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the experiments.
No.
Right.
Now we know where he came from. That's good enough.
It's a thing where the idea is definitely much more terrifying and much more emotional than actually seeing it.
Right.
I think if I was to witness like a Rocket Raccoon origin movie, I think it would take some of that horror out. Because I imagine, he talks about being ripped apart and put together, ripped apart, put together. And that in and of itself is pretty terrifying. And to think that he might not have been like a normal raccoon. He might have had normal consciousness to begin with.
Right.
It's just this whole other thing because he's not a raccoon. He's an alien race that looks like raccoons.
A raccoon? What's a raccoon? It's what you are.
But you have like all these really dark things, and then you have Star-Lord making references to Jackson Pollock paintings,
Right.
and they just and you just don't realize how dark it is until you like go home, you sit down, you're like, that man was going to kill an entire planet because of religion.
And darn near succeeded.
And yeah, exactly.
Ronan had the potential to be. I'm going back to Ronan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ronan had the potential to be a great character.
Yeah.
A lot of that again was Lee Pace's performance and his voice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, his voice was so good. It breaks my heart that he was used so poorly in this movie.
If I wouldn't have known that he was going to be Ronan before the movie, I wouldn't have recognized him.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know who Lee Pace was. So and my sister
Watch Pushing Daisies.
So my sister had never seen Guardians of the Galaxy, so we saw it. And then the next week, I went to go see Battle of the Five Armies. And I came out and I was like, the Elf King looked like a little familiar. I was like, I think I've seen him in something else. And I went home, got IMDb. I'm like, that was Ronan.
Yeah.
That was Ronan.
I love Lee Pace.
So Emily, what are your thoughts on this? Apart from I love Chris Pratt and I love
Guardians of the Galaxy.
And that was good.
The soundtrack was stellar.
Yeah.
which I think
Obviously.
is a character in and of itself.
Best use of the Pina Colada song, which is
Right.
a terrible, terrible song.
It's horrible.
But it was used to great effect in that
Yes, it
movie.
was. I
My
loved
favorite.
all the characters. And the most important part of the movie, obviously, is that Vin Diesel's a part of it. So, I'm pretty set.
I do have to say on the characters front, I personally don't like Zoe Saldana, like at all.
Why? I love
She's
her.
beautiful. I love her.
She's hot.
her episode of Comedy Bang Bang was hilarious.
Yes.
Meh.
I need to watch that show.
Anyway.
I don't think
Wait,
she's terrible.
Another Comedy Bang Bang fan?
Yes.
I don't.
It's hilarious.
I don't think she's terrible, but I also don't think she's good.
As far as
she's
acting, or
As a person in general,
She certainly.
don't like her.
I think we talked about Guardians in our first
Yeah.
podcast again, and I think I made the same point then. Gamora is really underwritten.
yeah.
That
just so overshadowed.
tinge of origin that we get with Rocket, we get it with Gamora, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's so
I
overshadowed
agree.
by everything.
And especially with Gamora, it's like, we know why Rocket acts the way he does. We don't really understand why Gamora acts the way she does.
And it's...
It doesn't quite come up in the origin. She's been a good guy this whole time. Doesn't really fit with me when you're being raised by someone who's basically the devil.
And it's one of those things where, like, as much as I don't like Zoe Saldana, I actually like the character of Gamora quite a bit. So it's actually just really bothered that, like, I'm not bothered by the way she's written. I'm bothered by the way that she didn't really get to shine. Because when you're in that cast, it is really hard to, like, outshine or shine with any of those people.
She should have been. She's Zoe Saldana. She is a bona fide superstar actress. She should have at least been able to outshine the wrestler who's
outshine Dave Bautista.
Should have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Did not happen. But should have happened.
Drax was my biggest surprise with this movie.
Yeah,
I did not expect to like him because, you know, I've seen Dave Bautista try to act in other things and but oh my gosh, do I love Drax in this
Nothing
movie.
flies over my head. My reflexes are too quick.
She said with a Russian accent for some reason.
I'm bad at accents.
So talking about, sorry, just real quick, just interject this and I'm done. Drax, who is not a wrestling character at all, is being portrayed. It was portrayed by a wrestling actor, who now has his own solo comic that is being co-written by a wrestler.
Well, that's right, CMS Punk.
CM Punk is
CM Punk, I don't know his name, because I don't watch wrestling.
SMS Punk?
SMS Punk.
SLC Punk?
Microsoft Office Punk.
Excel Punk? No, CM Punk is co-writing a Drax solo series.
That's right, I forgot about
He
that.
is the last and final member to get his own ongoing book. So now you have Guardians of the Galaxy and 5 other titles to read.
Good.
Awesome. Another character that I do want to just put a slight, emphasis on is Yondu.
Well, great. Now this podcast has to go for 30 more minutes because, oh my gosh, Yondu!
Oh, Yondu is like, that is the best way of, I think we're all theater people.
So
you know that theory of the gun, of what is it called?
Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's gun. He is the perfect example of that because so many times we get that hint of like his arrow and his whistling thing, and we get that little hint, and it's hinted at us so many times, and then they fire the gun, and it is probably one of the best scenes in that whole movie.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Now, Yondu is an interesting character because in the comics...
Isn't he basically just like Space Hawkeye in the comics?
In the comics, the character of Yondu is basically your noble warrior alien, which we've seen. Yeah. We have seen so much. We have never seen borderline psychopathic alien hick.
Merle in space.
Oh, it's a wonderful twist. The character I'm actually a pretty big fan of the original Guardians of the Galaxy because, and it's nostalgia. I had some of their comics when I was growing up. They're characters from the 31st century that are trying to uphold the legacy of the original Avengers. There's a guy who somehow still has Captain America's shield. Wolverine is still running around somewhere.
Me healing powers.
It's a really confusing, bizarre mess of a comic, but I kind of have this attachment for it. Yondu was boring. And movie Yondu is not boring. He is a delight every time he is on screen, and if he is not in Guardians 2,
he will be.
I know, but if he's not, I will cry a little bit, and I will consider very briefly not seeing the movie. But I will see it anyway.
You know who I will not cry if they're not in Guardians 2? It's Nebula. I was just kind of...
that was my disappointment. It's not necessarily the character.
Hey, she was in Selfie, Brady.
Selfie.
Well, I actually don't really like Karen Gillan.
I have a crush on her.
And you won't watch Doctor Who.
I know.
You can't have a crush on her unless you've seen that's
Yeah, unless you see her as Amy Pond. As Amy Pond, she's at her.
I've seen her in person, and that's all I needed to see.
I like listening to her talk. It's kind of pleasant.
Oh my gosh.
I have a suspicion that given more time, Gamora could be fleshed. Gamora, what the heck is the character's name?
Nebula.
Well, Nebula's got the same problem Gamora has. She's underwritten.
Yeah.
I honestly think that what we saw of Nebula was an origin story.
It wasn't. We don't. We have even less of an understanding of Nebula than we do of.
Yeah.
Well, no. Okay.
But I
changed
think,
my mind.
I think we have enough of a setup that if she was to come into Guardians 2, she could hit the ground running.
I changed my mind in the middle of the sentence, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because as I was looking at your face, I was reminded of the scene where Nebula gets all mopey when Thanos mentions that Gamora is his favorite daughter.
Yes.
Right. That scene right there is the most characterization we get of Nebula, and it's good.
Yeah.
But it's also the most characterization that we get of Thanos.
Yeah.
True.
They're building.
He's a Chekhov's gun.
So I've read an article that's talking about Thanos. Like, he's supposed to be the big bad of the Marvel Universe. We are now, like, 500 million movies into this franchise.
11.
Same thing.
26
and
hours.
Thanos has not won once. He's gone after, like, 4 of these Infinity Stone things, has none of them.
Well,
Every single agent he has sent into the battlefield has failed miserably. He is no closer to achieving his goal than he was before we even knew who he was. It's a little silly.
to be fair, part of this whole thing is that we haven't seen Thanos do anything.
Yeah, well, that's part of the problem.
Well, exactly, but that's also part of that whole... It's kind of like Merle, where we kind of never saw him do anything, and when he did something, it was like, wow. And I feel that we're getting that same setup where we're
You
like...
mean Yondu?
Yeah. Oh, what did I say?
You said Merle.
It's the same guy.
Same hick.
He just has blue makeup on.
The difference, though, is
Only
that
difference.
at least when Yondu was on the screen, even if he wasn't necessarily contributing directly to the plot, he was entertaining to watch. Thanos has not yet been entertaining to watch. Except in that very first sequence when we saw him at the end of the Avengers. That was cool because it got all the fanboys going, ooh. But
It also got all the fanboys going like, do I really know who Thanos is? How am I going to explain it to all these non-nerd guys?
oh, Thanos is easy. He's in love with death, and he collects these gems that turn into a glove that lets him kill everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, what's simpler than that?
Gives him godlike powers.
All right. Last thoughts about Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's
was
good.
excellent.
See it, because it's good.
Personally, my favorite of Phase 2.
It's way up there for me. I don't know if I can say it's my favorite, but
Well,
dang,
you were talking about-
it's definitely the most entertaining.
You were talking about the soundtrack to it. There's actually, you can go online and James Gunn actually has Awesome Mix Volume 0.
Yeah.
Which is music that like he used to pump everybody up on the set. Which is really cool.
What I need is the actual Awesome Mix Volume 1 that he gave to Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah.
That has the... I need to know what the whole thing is.
Right. And my favorite song of the soundtrack is not Hooked on a Feeling, which is actually great. I love how the music like was specifically chosen, but my favorite song was Cherry Bomb.
Yes.
Oh yeah, walking down the hallway with, Rocket adjusting
Yeah.
his way is the most iconic scene of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Cherry
Well, it
Bomb's
certainly
amazing.
tells you what these characters are about.
I
And they're about yawning and crotch grabbing.
Yes.
It's probably like half the people watching the movie, so it's amazing.
All right. Well, before we leave you, we want to just go over, very briefly what's actually coming out this next month. This month in video games, we actually don't have all that much.
It's Splatoon.
That's exactly what I was going straight to, which is one of my most anticipated games, period, is Splatoon, which is a game on the Wii U. It's Nintendo's first shooter that they've made, and it looks amazing. It's an online squad-based shooter where you play these squids who are trying to cover their actual, the level in ink. And basically, the whole point of the game, or at least of one of the modes, is that whatever team has the most ink, has marked the most territory, wins. Yeah,
Working on a game where dogs walk around a park and mark their territory.
and of course, you shoot the other guys. You can travel really fast in the ink and hide from, and you can hide from people while you're in the ink, but you can only travel in your own color. And there's actually just a lot of really cool things about it. I encourage you to look up more information. Other than that...
Also, it's not a whole game, but Mewtwo is now officially released as DLC for Super Smash Bros.
Yes.
So...
I was going to say, with Splatoon, it almost looks like Call of Duty mixed with the Blob.
It looks like Call of Duty made for the actual audience that buys Call of Duty.
No, but did you ever play the Blob? The Blob is one of my
Yes.
favorite
Oh
games
yeah,
on
the
the
one,
Wii.
the one where you jump and you paint. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
yeah.
that.
Splatoon looks like a mix between Call of Duty and The
It does.
Blob. I think.
think it
Of
looks
course, I can't wait for June for Arkham Knight. That's just
Yeah, but
talk about that.
we'll talk about that next month. So that's really all that there is for games. For movies,
Pitch
well,
Perfect 2.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the movie everyone is looking forward to.
Right.
Yes.
That's what this podcast should have been.
Green Bay
about.
Packers, everybody.
We
Actually,
should have spent 2 hours talking about Pitch Perfect.
Actually, can we make a podcast about musicals and just talk about Pitch Perfect?
Can we talk about how I think Anna Kendrick looks like a cartoon rat?
Anna
that's
Kendrick,
horrible.
But I love
Anna
her.
Kendrick reminds me of my last girlfriend, and in a way that is meant to be entirely complimentary and not like a rat.
She would be a great cartoon-looking rat, I think.
Well, you should
Ratatouille
bring
too.
that up with the directors.
So
Ratatouille?
anyway, of course, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Everyone's going to see it, so I'm sure that you'll see it too.
After they see Pitch Perfect 2, of course.
I'll tell you what I'm excited
Priorities.
for the end of May is Brad Bird's Tomorrowland.
Oh my
Yes,
I'm
that
excited for Tomorrowland.
Well,
so good.
I am such a huge fan of Brad Bird. I mean, everything that he has put out, I have loved, including the last Mission Impossible, which is probably my favorite Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
It's saying a lot for me because I love the first one.
Yep.
Second one, hate. Third one was pretty good. Philip Seymour Hoffman did a great
And
job.
J.J. Abrams directed it.
But yeah,
I still love the second one. Even though it's, I still love the action sequences, and it's John Woo. Come on, you got doves at the end. Anyway, I'm sorry.
anyway. So another movie that's coming out that I kind of wanted to get your guys' take on. I don't know if you've watched trailers for it, but Maggie.
Yes. Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, Maggie is a zombie movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger that is more of a family drama than it is a zombie movie.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Where basically it's, there's a zombie virus where people slowly turn into zombies over, I can't remember how many weeks.
Yeah.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter is infected, and so she's going to slowly turn into a zombie, and he wants to protect her from the government killing her early. And so I encourage you to watch the trailer. If it's up your alley, go and see it. It comes out on May 8th. Another one that I really am excited for is Mad Max Fury Road. Because from all the trailers, it captures the feel of the early movies perfectly.
For sure.
Which, I'm a sucker for Mad Max. Plus, Tom Hardy is always great.
Right.
Yeah.
Except for when he talks like this. We
Yeah.
miss John! I can't do the Bane voice. But anyway, so... And if you want to see a movie that I'm sure will have a Rotten Tomatoes rating of, 3%, San Andreas comes out.
Not based on Call of Duty. Grand
Theft Auto.
God, where's my
See,
head?
Emily knew that. Come
I
on.
do know things. If I know things,
She knows things
You're
good.
kidding.
I got a million things going through my head. Okay.
But not GTA.
So,
Alright.
comic books are coming out this month, as
Yeah.
they always do.
Which, I mean, I'm just gonna get this out of the way real fast. If you're not reading Miss Marvel or Spider-Gwen, I don't know what you're doing with
There's not much more we can really recommend.
Right.
We've talked about Miss Marvel every month.
I mean, and honestly,
Right.
if I was going to recommend anything based on the podcast that we're talking about, I would recommend picking up the latest run on Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a great introduction to the characters. It sticks a little closer to the movies, which if you're a fan like Steven is, I don't know what your thought is. For me, as a person that hadn't really read Guardians, it was kind of nice. So I would recommend picking up those trades or those collections, those paperback books.
We're also getting the start this month of Marvel Comics' new event, which is called Battle World, which is their first Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Infinite Earths style rejiggering of their universe.
Yeah.
Noteworthy because it's giving some creators this chance to run around with this playground of characters that don't normally get used in this way, so they get to try some fun things. There's going to be a miniseries on Planet Hulk, which was
event that happened a couple years ago that was pretty interesting.
It was pretty good.
There's going to be... Oh, it was pretty good. The first time I've ever said that about a Hulk comic.
Last time you were going to say that about a whole comic.
They're revisiting Inferno, which was a big X-Men event. They are giving a team of Lady Avengers their own comic in A-Force. That comes out, I believe, this month.
Well, I guess they're not technically the Avengers, but we also had the Fearless Defenders.
Oh yeah, that was... Yeah, that was the thing that happened as well. You are correct.
But that's a Defenders, technically, so that's a different thing.
Right.
Meanwhile, the universe rejiggering continues over at the DC side of things with, what do they call that? Convergence, which is the 30th annual rejiggering of the DC Comics continuity.
Which is like, so in case you don't understand, if you go to a comic book store and you're completely confused by all these Convergence titles, they're mostly 1 or 2 issue stories where people get to write about the good old days and the different types of heroes.
You know, back when people actually cared about what was going on in DC Comics. Oh, did I say that? Yeah, I have opinions about DC Comics. But anyway, you've got solo series for Harley Quinn, for Batgirl, for The Question. You've got some Flash stuff. I mean, they're having a time playing with these characters that are no longer really in continuity, but the creators really enjoy them, so they're getting to revisit them. Holy cow, Parallax has a story going on.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. I'd like to read that.
You mean the ugly yellow cloud from the horrible Green Lantern movie?
Oh, no, we'll have to talk about Parallax sometime.
Get out of your own house, Brandon. Don't you bring
Parallax
that
is
up.
awesome in the comics. You know what though? I think
Yeah.
I think that the Green Lantern movie does have some redeeming qualities.
It does.
You could do a 20-minute podcast about that one sometime.
Yeah, I'll just get this out of the way really quickly. I am not a fan of DC's recent movie offerings, but I'm sure that we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
I just wish they would remember that we have a thing called color film now.
Also fun. Fun has been invented since the...
Yeah, that's a thing.
And here's another pro tip. If you're going to, let your trailer leak, you probably don't want to do it on the same day as Star Wars. Just saying. Just putting that out there.
Well, at the same time, you don't really get to choose when your trailer leaks. So,
That's true.
If your trailer leaks... Well, I think if there's one thing that we've learned from Marvel Comics is that if your trailer leaks, blame Hydra.
If your trailer leaks, take it to an auto mechanic and fix it right up.
I think we should end. Each of us takes 5 seconds and says which of the upcoming Marvel movies we're most excited for.
All right. I agree with that. So here we go. Rapid fire. Steven.
It's Captain Marvel, guys. It's Captain Marvel. That's it.
Aldo.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
All right.
Because-
Emily.
I can't do this.
Just say Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
No, I vote out. I opt out. I will.
Just say all of them.
Yes.
Nate.
All 14 of them, Steven? I think I'm really excited for Ant-Man. I can't wait for Ant-Man.
I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Ant-Man because I love Paul Rudd.
I do too. And the trailer where the Thomas the train engine
Yes.
comes, and they're like having this big old fight on it, and then like it crashes, and then it like zooms out, and it's just like boop, because it's a kid's room.
I think Nate exceeded 5 seconds.
Sorry.
Awesome. All right, and mine is Doctor Strange
That's strange.
Oh, especially with
Benedict
with
Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and that's this month's podcast. Make sure that you like us on Facebook, comment on all those statuses that we put up because we try to have fun with it. And of course, subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already and you're just listening to this randomly. And watch our reviews.
On YouTube.com/reviews versus the world.
Maybe you should not mumble when you're saying our name.
Bye!